What's going on, team? It's Caddy with Money Investing. I hope that you all are having an amazing day. So in this video, we're going to analyze or try to analyze Penney as a company and also their stock price. So today they announced that they're finally filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and they will be essentially going out of business. And I will share an article with you guys going over exactly what the procedure is going to look like and how quickly they're going to close out their stores and what the whole process looks like. But in this video, we will try to understand what went wrong for Penney as a company, what their history looked like, what their financials look like, what their technicals look like, what the stock price and everything that they've done to get to a point where they're filing for bankruptcy. Now, they've been around for well over 100 years. I think they started back in 1902 when they were first founded. And since then, they have been one of the biggest retailers up until 2015-16 when the decline actually started to happen. So as a company, they haven't posted a positive or a profitable quarter in the last 4 years. I think there was just 2 quarters when they actually posted a profitable quarter in the last 4 years. But since 2016, their profits and their net income and their revenue and their sales have been on a steady decline. So more recently, their sales dropped from $11.6 billion back in 2018 to now $10.7 billion just last year. So that is a drop of 7.1% in 2018 to now 8.1% in 2019. So taking that into consideration and also understanding the fact that they have been struggling, they have some of the biggest competitors in the world, such as Amazon and Walmart, that offer some of the same services because JCPenney really is out there selling merchandise, clothing, fine jewelry. So JCPenney also has about 849 stores across the US, and you can see them right here on the screen where they're located, broken down by state, but they will be closing out majority of those stores. They have close to about 90,000 employees, which will also suffer due to the COVID-19 pandemic and also the fact that they've already been struggling. Looking right here, so this is the TradingView platform, and I want to quickly go over the stock price first, and then I'll share the few articles that I found related to this news and where the company is headed, what the procedure is going to look like. So if you scroll back, again, this is the daily chart we're looking at for JCPenney, and so this is nothing but a descending pattern for the company, for the stock itself, and you can see that back in, so if you go over to the weekly chart and kind of scroll down a little bit, you can see that they actually never recovered from the 2000, 2007, and 2008 global financial crisis. That was the Great Recession back in 07 and 08. JCPenney was at an all-time high February of 2007. You guys can see the timeline right around here. And they were trading at around $86 a share. And since then, they have gone down, well, 99.87%, almost 100%. They've lost their value, essentially because they are now out of business. Looking at this drop from 07 to 2009. So that was the Great Recession. That was a financial crisis where people were essentially laid off. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people lost their 401k savings. And that was a really devastating time for the entire economy. So that was the last bear market we saw in the United States prior to COVID-19. So obviously consumer spending dropped. People weren't spending as much. And since JCPenney is in the business of retail, they are selling merchandise and clothing. They saw a big decline in sales, which resulted in the stock price dipping down close to 85%. So after that, they did try to recover majority of those losses, going up to $43 a share, going up 210%, which is again quite significant where it comes from an investment standpoint. And they haven't been on an ascending pattern ever since. They've just been on a decline. And that's happened due to really bad and poor business decisions, not being able to define your target audience, multiple CEOs, $4 to $5 billion worth of debt, and also not being able to compete with companies like Amazon and Walmart when it comes to an online space. So now looking at the stock price, so you can see that the 200-day moving average, which is the blue line, is aggressively pushing down, and it's been trending lower. When it comes to the pattern itself, you can see that they were making some progress here, trying to make some higher highs and higher lows. But again, nothing worked out for them. And then after today, when they've announced that they were filing for bankruptcy, their stock dipped over 30% after hours, now trading at around 16 cents a share. Now we'll go over to the 2 articles that I found that are relevant to this piece of news, and we will kind of dissect them and break it down. And I'll share my opinion of JCPenney, and let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this company, how they handle COVID-19, how they handle their business operations, and what led them to be in this situation. All right, guys, so this is the first article that I found. I will put a link down in the description below, but it essentially says, long struggling JCPenney files for bankruptcy as coronavirus crushes hopes for a quick turnaround. So if you read further down, it says that sales at JCPenney have fallen annually since 2016, which I've already mentioned. Its roughly 860 store footprint is less than a quarter of its store base in 2001. The company's nearly $11 billion sales in the last fiscal year are almost a third of its sales the same year. So last year, I think they generated close to $10.7 billion, close to $11 billion, which was a decline of over 8% in net sales. So if you read further, it says Texas-based retailer, which was founded more than a century ago, so close to 1902 when they were first founded, employs roughly 90,000 full-time and part-time employees as of February of this year. So this obviously obviously it goes without saying that as people are getting laid off, so unemployment hit record high levels. Now we're over 15 to 16%. Over 30 million people have already filed for unemployment. So it goes without saying that people are not going to spend money on merchandise, clothing. So consumer spending drops. They're essentially going to be spending more money on necessities and utilities as opposed to something like fine jewelry, clothing, and merchandise. So obviously they're going to see a decline in sales. The only question is, were they equipped enough? Did they have enough cash to sustain this pandemic? Apparently not, which is why they're going out of business. So if you read further into the article, it essentially says the retailer said its commitments of $900 million in financing from its existing first lien lenders to fund the bankruptcy, which includes $450 million of new money. It had approximately $500 million in cash on hand as of the Chapter 11 filing date. So in bankruptcy, the retailer said it will reduce its store footprint in phases. It will disclose specific store details and timings in the coming weeks, but essentially plans to close 180 to 200 stores. So almost 20 to 25% of the stores will be shut down in the next few weeks. But for the time being, we know that they did file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and they have been struggling for a few years now, and the time's finally come where they're throwing in the towel and essentially going out of business. So the next piece of article that I want to quickly share with you is how JCPenney actually got here. What led them to come to this point where they are going out of business? So this right here is the article that I wanted to share with you guys, and I will again put a link down in the description below. This is an old article, but at the same time, it gives us a better understanding of how the company has been performing and how this was already foreseen well before it actually happened. So essentially it says $4 billion in debt with a stock price below $2. The retailer faces an uncertain fate after posting its latest round of earnings. Their revenues and net income have also been falling, so it goes without saying that this was already anticipated. And Mark Cohen also said they're in leaky boat that eventually will sink. And he's a director of retail studies at the Columbia Business School, which essentially was already predicting that the day will come when JCPenney will eventually go out of business. So another key thing that I wanted to mention is that Amazon and Walmart and some of these other retailers are not the only reasons why JCPenney actually failed. They also were not able to identify their customer base and not target specific audiences. So if you read further into the article, it essentially says that the company's downfall does not fit cleanly into the death by Amazon story as many retailers in recent years. Instead, its wounds are largely self-inflicted. Its more flexible rivals have adjusted their businesses to remain relevant. Kohl's and Nordstrom have invented themselves into fresh brands and hippier stores, and discount retailers such as TJX and Ross have built loyal businesses around value-focused shoppers. But Penney has lost both customers and faith of Wall Street. If you read further, it also says that JCPenney has a lack of understanding about what it is and what it stands for and who it wants to serve. Again, goes back to the idea of not being able to identify their customer base, their target audience. And if you don't have a proper target audience in business, you would essentially fail because at that point, you don't know who you're serving and who your customer is. So it is a really sad story for JCPenney, but let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think, whether it was the right decision for them to file for bankruptcy, whether there was any hope left for this company to come back up when this pandemic was over. If the pandemic never even happened, would JCPenney still be in business? Would they still be able to bounce back to those all-time highs of $87 to $90 a share? Let me know what you guys think, and I would love to hear from you guys. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you guys in the next video.